The following news flash is brought to you by the Lone Star Lowdown, providing your daily bulletins for the commodities market. Today in history, news updates, and the inside scoop into the tides of the alternative. Markets for Wednesday, March 23rd, 2016 are currently trading with gold at $1,223.93 an ounce, silver $15.28 an ounce, Texas crude $41.45 a barrel, and Bitcoin is currently sitting at about 417 U.S. currency. Today in history, the year 1775, Patrick Henry proclaims, "Give me liberty or give me death," in a speech in favor of Virginian troops joining the U.S. Revolutionary War. The infamous slogan of American rebels, "Give me liberty or give me death," was first said today in history. In recent news, an independent panel investigating the Flint water crisis blamed Governor Rick Snyder's office directly, concluding that incompetent state employees in charge of supervising water quality, including state-appointed emergency managers, ignored a list of growing problems with the city water supply and negligently ignored signs of lead contamination. The 116-page report had blame for every level of government, from local Flint officials to the Federal Environmental Protection Agency, but blamed the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, the state agency responsible for monitoring Flint's water supply, as primarily responsible for the water contamination in Flint. The report said that the Flint water crisis is a story of government failure, intransigence, unpreparedness, delay, inaction, and environmental injustice. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said today that Belgian law enforcement and anti-terror departments ignored warnings last June that one of the brothers suspected of blowing himself up in the terror attacks there on Tuesday was a terrorist. Ibrahim El Bakraoui, suspected of being the bomber who blew himself up at the Zaventem airport, killing at least 11, was stopped crossing into Turkey from Syria 9 months ago, when Turkish officials said that they apparently told anti-terror agencies in Brussels of his involvement with ISIS, the group who claimed responsibility in Tuesday's attacks. A Turkish official stated Dutch authorities allowed Bakraoui to go free because they were unable to establish any ties to terrorism or ISIS. The Israeli newspaper Haaretz reported today that Belgian security service, as well as other Western intelligence agencies, had advanced and precise intelligence of the pending terror attacks prior to them. The newspaper said government agencies had specific warning that the attacks were coming soon and would take place at the airport and in the subway system, though it is not clear how exactly said agencies were warned of the attacks in advance. This was Rick Rody with your lowdown for March 23rd, 2016.
Logos Radio Network presents The Truth Exposed Radio Show every Wednesday 6 to 8 p.m., bringing to you breakdowns on current events, history, and philosophy with your hosts, Rick Rody, Marshall Soul, and Cody Rowe. Welcome and thank you for tuning in.
And we are live this March 30th, 2016, here every Wednesday live on the Logos Radio Network. This is the Truth Exposed Radio Show. I am one of your hosts, Cody Rowe.
Marshall Soul.
Rick Rody here.
And it has been an exciting week.
Jam-packed. Hopefully you guys are enjoying yourselves as well.
Yeah, and not letting the tomfoolery of the hoopla of the media and everything drive you completely insane, because it is an insane world out there these days.
That it is. It's just going nuts.
Can't let the propaganda get to you now.
Nope.
It's working overtime right now.
It sure is. It sure is. We got a lot of it to decipher. Got some new revelations, some, of course, the tantalizing things that everyone likes to talk about, controversial, personal lives type of things that have nothing to do with the issues, and everyone jumping on board. But yeah, you got some stuff going on with the Hillary campaign and the Trump campaign. I'm sure you guys are well aware. Also, something that we jumped last week, talking about the Brussels attack we had a couple of weeks ago. Turns out their intelligence agency was warned multiple times by several countries. So,
how is this always the case with these terrorist attacks?
I guess they just don't have enough money, enough funding, or something. You know, they would just do the job correctly if they just got an extra couple million. Also, got the FBI stopping its chase of pursuing iPhone to create that back door into their operating system, into their iPhone's operating system.
Why is this?
Well, apparently they cracked it.
Oh, you don't say. Like we were talking about before, someone can already do that on the street.
Yeah, apparently it took the full force of the U.S. government several weeks to to crack a measly iPhone.
That sounds like one of those how many people, how many so-and-sos does it take to screw in a light bulb joke,
Yeah.
It takes the whole U.S. government to figure out how to crack an iPhone when
They probably ended up hiring somebody that can actually do it.
your buddy down the street can do it.
Well, and thank God Apple stood their ground. Thank God Apple stood for the rest of us and a little bit of privacy we have left on our phone. So definitely an interesting play of events and how it all turned out. And I mean, we all knew that the government could already have access to their own employees' iPhone. I mean, come on now.
It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. We already know. I mean, they've got backdoors and everything.
Yeah, they just wanted the legislation to put in place so they could utilize evidence against you that they would otherwise, couldn't use in court. They could only use as a background to set you up and wait for you.
Yeah,
and then catch you doing something illegal. Whereas they just want to use it,
Yeah, they work cases backwards on you. They create a case when there was none by taking previous recorded evidence, quote unquote, when it's not technically evidence of a crime. But
it's post-crime.
Yeah.
Post-crime.
Pre-crime.
No, post-crime.
Yeah.
Thought crime.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and of course we got some personal things to talk about a little bit, hopefully segue into property rights and whatnot. We're going to continue with our breakdown of John Locke's Property. And got quite a show jam-packed, so why don't we just get it started? You guys hear about this Miss Arkansas coming out, Miss Sally Miller?
Who is this having to do with Hillary Clinton?
Yeah, apparently she's one of Bill's.
Is that the lady? Is that the lady that said Bill Clinton did cocaine on her living room table?
Yeah,
or coffee table.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Also said a lot of other things. Yeah, apparently this Miss Arkansas, well acquainted with Slick Willie.
I wonder if she was on the Clinton Chronicles documentary series.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But she basically had some startling revelations to say the least. She came out and basically said that Bill had told her personally that Hillary had multiple abortions and despised the idea of having a family. Her feminism is well rooted in Miss Hillary, and she just couldn't stand the idea of being a mother until Bill over here convinced her it would be beneficial for their political aspirations. And this is according to Miss Miller.
Interesting, you don't say.
I mean, they had to keep Chelsea out of all of them.
It's funny. What was like?
It's always that dirty laundry.
Yeah.
Yeah, she literally said, quote, she had several abortions before she had Chelsea, and it was only because Bill convinced her that they were ever going to move up in politics that they had to have a child, because that is what the political analysis had said. They've got to see her, and she continues on, they've got to see her as a human being. They have to see her. I think in society there's always this, people always say, if you were a mother, you can't be half bad. There has to be some love or gentleness or compassion within you to birth a child, but that's not true. There are some pretty bad mothers. I had one myself. So, yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense politically. I mean, you always have to be praying with your family and doing the Pledge of Allegiance correctly and just saying everything and wearing the right things and doing the right things, or else people aren't going to accept you as the all-American candidate.
I want to say that I heard, I mean, people can look it up for themselves, that they had created a Chelsea Clinton, I guess, foundation or whatever, and some of the things that Hillary Clinton could be in trouble for, Chelsea could be in trouble for as well, because I think the Chelsea Clinton Foundation or whatever is tied to some of these things. And so, her saying, talking about, Hillary being a bad parent, I mean, then I think that's going to come out in the wash here pretty soon.
Yeah, I've seen so many different stories through other sources, and of course the Clinton Chronicles. Look that up, people, if you're interested. I mean, all the dirt that came out on them. It does not surprise me. Oh, not at all, not at all. It surprises me that she ever got pregnant and that she actually had abortions, because I mean, we know that she's a big, lesbian or whatever. So what is she doing getting pregnant?
Well, lesbian can't win political seats, at least not in the 70s and 80s when the Clintons were getting involved.
But I guess multiple abortions, she probably, just killed all the boys. She just wanted a girl. She's a hardcore feminist.
Yeah, I mean, and the whole, even her sexual orientation, which really, I mean, that's our personal matter, of course.
Yeah,
but
true.
it just goes to show the level of deception and the level of the layers of lies that this woman is willing to go through in order to have an image. She basically, Miss Miller here also stated that she, like you said, Cuddy, she swings a lot of ways, apparently.
Interesting. I mean, I've heard that from Larry Nichols before, saying that Bill's watched, her and another lady, and they got in a big fight over it. So, I mean, yeah, these claims have been, have come out quite a few times before in the past. So, not surprising at all.
Yeah, and to really wrap this point up, this other quote here is pretty telling. Miss Miller said that Sally Miller said that when she was hanging out with Willie here, one of the little get-togethers, she basically told the press here that Bill had told her, "Why do you think she is so uninterested in kissing and holding and just being close physically?" He said that when she was in college, she had some girls. She and some girls experimented, and apparently she liked it. And take in consideration that this is when the big feminist movement was moving forward and lesbianism was hot. It was more in vogue for a woman to have a female partner than to have a male partner. That sounds like today. Not much different there. And again, that's your personal choice as an adult, regardless, but at least be honest about yourself.
Yeah, because the fact that you're willing to withhold certain things just shows furthermore that you wouldn't be a good representative for the people's best interest.
Or you've got something to hide. I mean,
or you're a perfect politician.
Yeah. It just shows that they're hiding stuff and they can't be out in the open about who they really are.
There's politicians and there's statesmen, you know?
What's the difference? Yeah.
No
one knows.
I would say look at Ron Paul. That's a statesman.
Oh, okay.
That's like a needle in a haystack.
If Judge Andrew Napolitano was to run for an office, that would be a statesman.
Yeah, efficiently taking your money and efficiently applying it to things that matter.
Well,
right?
I'm like, well, cracking my cranium over here.
Yeah. So this was pretty startling. I mean, who knows where this all is going to go? What's going to happen with this story? And then, Cuddy, you mentioning apparently Chelsea's been, saying some things that may be detrimental to Hillary's campaign. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's really interesting to see how the Democratic Party is definitely cutting Sanders, Mr. Bernie Sanders, Mr.
What's funny, they're both
Captain Sanders.
Sanders and Trump are both getting their their votes or whatever, their elections stolen from them. So it's funny. See the trickery on both sides. It's interesting.
Shenanigans.
You just gotta laugh. I don't know. It's just...
And I don't know how they're getting away with it on the Democratic side. I mean, everybody I meet that's voting Democrat is voting for Bernie.
Yeah. Big time.
I don't think...
I don't see any Hillary... I mean, you see one every now and then, a Hillary sticker, but not much.
Yeah, nowhere near the amount of vigor that Bernie supporters are out there rallying for.
Yeah, you see crowds of Bernie people. Definitely.
Yeah, so we'll see how that turns out. I know we got the Super Tuesday coming up again. A whole bunch of other voting coming up on here next Tuesday. So we'll see. We're definitely going to find out who the nominees are. So should be interesting. So what's up with this Turkish? Before we move on to the whole terrorism thing, I don't know if y'all saw that video where supposedly Trump's campaign manager
grabbed somebody.
Grabbed Miss I forget her name, Miss Michelle Fields or something. Yeah, grabbed her by the arm, and yeah, I mean you can see her being held back in the crowd as people are walking next to Trump, and you can see her obviously being stopped by this guy, grabbing her arm or whatnot. But for him to be arrested and be taken in, and this whole process over a misdemeanor assault charge, it just seems like a big PR campaign here.
Well, if you look at the video, she comes up and grabs Trump's arm in a sense to like get his attention and to get him to talk to her. And it looked like Trump himself said he was trying to brush her away, and it was that his entourage that came up, and one of the guys in his entourage came up, grabbed her, and just pulled her back. So he said he was saying he should press charges on her if she wants to play that route, because it was her that grabbed him, and his security detail reacting to that.
It's on video.
Right. And Trump's arguing that she, if she has a right to press charges against, his campaign manager, shouldn't he have the right to press charges against her for having her touch him first? Now that we're getting into that,
he didn't even think it was that big of a deal. He thought it was like a non-issue.
Yeah, for sure. So it definitely seems like one of these events where, oh my gosh, you touch me. This is assault to the highest degree. If only we could do that with the police, right?
Yeah, right.
You are listening to the Logos Radio Network. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
Am I all right? Yeah, I'm all right.
I want to say it now, but now it's today. And love has been given to grab and enjoy. So let's all grab and let's all enjoy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Truth Exposed Radio, March 30th, 2016. Right here on the Logos Radio Network. Now, I'm saying with Trump, that was justified. If he wants to react on it, it's ridiculous that she is just making a claim.
Talking about was she a supporter of Bernie Sanders? Or?
No, she was just a reporter.
Oh, she's just a reporter. So they got held back at the Trump rally.
Yeah, campaign manager grabbed her by the arm, and she posted some picture of a little bruise on her arm.
Makeup.
And Trump's arguing she didn't scream in pain. She wasn't thrown to the ground.
If she was bruised, maybe she needs to take some more vitamin C. She got scurvy? Eat some limes, lady.
Yeah.
Really, to have the guy arrested on misdemeanor charges, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, don't you just send them a notice of to appear in court because you've been charged with a misdemeanor? I don't get the whole right. I don't get the whole. Well, and again, ladies and gentlemen, don't misunderstand us. We're not Trump supporters here. We're not Cruz supporters. We were barely even Randian optimizers, but even then, we realize what this whole thing about politics and politics and government is all about. It keeps us from accepting this electoral process as legitimate. It's just too much logic to have to throw out the window here. But yeah, so we're not here trying to defend Trump in any way or trying to promote Trump in any way, but it is pretty ridiculous when this is considered assault. God forbid you bump into somebody and they just start filing assault charges against you,
and then there's this other story too as well. A Bernie Sanders supporter sprayed in the face by a police officer, sprayed in the face with mace.
Oh, wow.
And it's just spun like they're just spraying Bernie Sanders supporters in the face with mace for no reason.
Like it's occupying Oakland all over again, and they're just sitting there and getting sprayed in the face by the cop.
Yeah, and that's not the issue at all. When the video is released, then you see the lady attacking a police officer, and you're like, wow.
She swung at him, right? She pushed him or swung at him or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, you can't get away with that. Like, you're lucky you didn't get beat up, assaulted, and
now, see, I didn't know that was
arrested.
I didn't know that was a police officer. I was under the impression the media was saying, or people were posting it saying that it was a Trump.
They just
supporter.
show an arm, but if you look, that arm is long sleeve, dark. Yeah, it's a police officer. Yeah. Sprayed her face good.
Yeah. So who assaulted whom in that situation?
Both times, it's provoked.
It's provoked.
It's a self defense on the side that they're saying it's assaulting.
True, right. Because if we're going to consider simply grabbing your arm and keeping you from walking next to Trump as assault, well, then we have to consider you touching Trump as assault to begin with.
Yeah.
So you being grabbed as a result is just a defense mechanism. And Trump has a right to hire anybody for his defense.
And true, in the case where she was grabbed, that I consider that as, the equal force. She didn't get thrown to the ground like she initially claimed.
No, she just got pulled back and, to where she couldn't continue doing what she was doing.
Yeah. Yeah, so just that whole ordeal. Yeah, it wasn't like the case with this Bernie supporter where it's a push or a punch, and then you get mace in your eyes and in your nose and in your mouth.
Yeah, usually I like to have tacos with my mace.
Right?
Things maíz. Yep. So just interesting stuff that are little tidbits of things that are on the airwaves right now concerning these elections and these campaigns. Definitely seems like the media is trying to demonize certain candidates and put other ones in the victim position of poor Mr. Colonel Sanders
going through the gambit of feels.
Yeah,
my feels. All the dirty laundry comes out and the skeletons come out to play.
Yeah,
not all of them, just enough to get whatever agenda across they want.
Oh yeah, that's all they do. Do want to remind you guys that Logos Radio Network, the network that is gladly transmitting the great lineup of shows that you guys can check out 24/7 on this station and on logosradionetwork.com, is still having their yearly fundraiser, their special 2016 gun giveaway drawing, which only costs $25 to become a part of. So definitely consider yourself as a possible winner.
Yeah, $25 get you in on a chance to win that first prize, Spike Skull lower receiver for an AR-15, or second prize, that Taurus Curve.
I think you've got better chances, winning with us than you do with the lottery.
Yeah, and you got one more day to get in on the if you purchase Eddie Craig's traffic seminar material before March 31st, you'll receive 10 entries into this drawing.
Yeah, that's multiplying your chances to win there.
And I myself cannot stress to you enough about getting Eddie Craig's traffic material and seminar. I own it myself, so I I'm telling you, it's worth it.
Yeah, it's all PDF format, all the law books.
There's video in there of his one of his older seminars, but it's constantly getting updated too, so it's well worth it.
You can word search. I think I saw like a quarter
Case law,
of that information you had on
law
there.
Dictionaries, PDF source material. You can go and see the actual laws that he had acquired himself.
Yeah, Texas Constitution, driving ordinances and codes.
Burning civil statutes, actually what's on file.
Shoot, he even had a little bit of philosophy in there from what I recall, some Bastiat and some Locke from what I recall. So
yep.
Definitely something you're going to want to consider. And we are on our last day of doing this, ladies and gentlemen. We've had to unfortunately push this back here from the 14th, from old St. Valentine's Day, and really push it past St. Patrick's, which is really our other deadline, to tomorrow, because we just haven't gotten anywhere near where we need to be, unfortunately. And, it's this kind of radio stuff. Unless you got listeners that are willing to participate and become part of the team, we just can't make it on our own. It's
costs a lot of money to run the operation. Definitely.
So definitely encourage you guys checking logosradionetwork.com out and giving us a little hand if you can. So this Turkey situation here, apparently Turkey had warned Brussels about one of the terrorists involved in the terrorist attack in Brussels, and they didn't do a diddly squat.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is according to NPR here, so who knows how much national public, but I guess they're just posting it from the Associated Press, it looks like. But anyway, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says that last summer, Belgian authorities had the chance to detain Ibrahim El-Brakoui, now identified as one of the suspected suicide bombers who struck Brussels that fateful Tuesday. Erdogan says that Turkey warned Belgian authorities of Brakowi's terrorist ties when it deported him into the custody of the Netherlands, but that the Belgian native was released anyway. Interesting, even though he had connections with ISIS and had visited ISIS and talked with them and had correspondence with them. Yeah, let's just go ahead and let him go,
Well, yeah, I mean, we're funding ISIS. I mean, come on.
I just find it strange that he's being deported over there.
Right, instead of back into Syria or back into the Middle East. I guess he had his citizenship to the Netherlands.
He had a mission, bro, to fulfill. Hello.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, come on. I'm not buying all this incompetence anymore. Everybody's just completely incompetent. Like, what is everybody just inundated with, like,
now they're going to say
fluoride,
the EU needs their own Homeland Security branch and more Stasi spy equipment to monitor everybody.
Yeah, I'm sure, right?
What is that going to matter when the people aren't even smart enough to operate it? I mean, come on, they can't even tie their own shoes, it's sounding like.
Nope.
Shipping terrorists, back and forth from country to country.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. You can't sell me that.
Sounds like, what was it? Able Danger, right? They were on the tails of a lot of terrorists, weren't they, before September 11th?
Yep, and they were told to cease and desist.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting.
Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, we are coming on to a break here at Truth Exposed, so do stay tuned.
Do you sleep with your cell phone? If the answer is yes, you might be among a growing number of folks who suffer from nomophobia. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, and I'll tell you about people's growing fear of being disconnected next.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This message is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
Do you take your cell phone into the bathroom or panic if it's not in arm's reach? Do you keep an extra phone on hand just in case your main phone stops working? If you do any of these things, you may have nomophobia or no mobile phobia, the fear of being caught without your cell phone. And you wouldn't be alone. A recent survey finds 2/3 of us feel afraid without our cell phones. That's a huge increase over just 4 years ago. And the problem is even worse among young people, where nearly 8 out of 10 people under 24 feel anxious when they're unplugged. How could a technology that's supposed to simplify our lives have become such a burden? I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht for StartPage.com, the world's most private search engine.
Looking for some truth? You found it. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. This lovely 30th of March, 2016. This Wednesday here, Truth Exposed Radio, live every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. Rick Rhodey here.
Cut it, rope.
Marshall Soul.
And just been quite an enlightening experience here, reading up on the first couple paragraphs of this NPR article, which basically is telling us that one of the terrorists involved in the Brussels attack was being shipped back and forth in Europe when they knew he had connections with terrorist groups and ISIS and whatnot.
Isn't this so reminiscent of 9/11? Well, we couldn't foresee planes running into buildings and blah blah blah, and they had all these warnings.
We would have never thought, you know. I mean, there was the Paris incident and all, but we would have never thought.
Yeah, I mean, it really, and then it seems like the rhetoric has don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Again, don't get us wrong here. Just because we mentioned the thing about Trump doesn't mean we're defending Trump. So what I'm about to say here, but what I'm getting at is it seems like this explosion of anti-Islam or anti-Muslims has come across the scene, as if people just forgot about the 7/7 bombings and the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and people just forgot about those things.
Yeah. When 9/11 happened, everyone was gung ho about getting terrorists, and
it was all making a glass parking lot.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, for sure. At the initiation of it, people are pissed off. But as time came out, and more information and evidence came out, pretty certain here that the U.S. government, our own government, was complicit in the terrorist attacks of September 11th. It doesn't take much research to realize that not only were they incompetent in defending us, but a multi-trillion-dollar defense budget.
At the very least, they allowed it to happen.
It takes a lot of cognitive dissonance to not see that.
Yeah.
I mean, you just got to bury your head in the sand and not even. I mean, you got to look the other way.
Right. Don't want to look at the footage of the buildings falling at free fall speed. Don't want to look at the third building, World Trade Center, falling. Don't want to hear Silverstein and all about his insurance policies.
It's easier to just say y'all are crazy and then look the other way.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know why people are forgetting about this all of a sudden. We got a couple of shootings, a couple of bombs going off, caused by what we're told are Muslims connected with ISIS, and all of a sudden everyone wants to go take over the Middle East or just start shooting refugees. When obviously, even with the Bernardino case, there were government employees that committed themselves to ISIS. So come on now, who's really dropping the ball here?
Oh yeah,
and we know where Muhammad came from. We know the ideology that engulfs Islam and how it's basically at odds with freedom and liberty. We're not trying to defend those beliefs in any way, but I mean, sure, it's people's rights to have them, but they can't enforce that on other people, and that's where Islam is diametrically opposed to liberty. I mean, there are a religion of force, a religion of the state, no different than Catholicism, which we have Pope Francis running around and telling the whole world to unite in order to fight global warming, to have a world currency, a world government, world banking institution in order to...
And a world religion.
Yeah. In order to curtail the evils of division, huh? If we were just all united, everything would be nice and dandy. Kumbaya.
Yeah. And we've also talked about...
Easier to control you with.
We've also talked about the connections, too, in between the two.
In between the two, right.
So
before we start wanting to go bomb Syria again and continue to bomb it,
we have to go back to Iraq
and then Syria
and Syria.
Yeah, right.
Or Libya.
Go Jordan, Libya.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Let's retrace our
ever closer to Iran. So long as we're getting ever closer to Iran, that's
they're already talking about sending troops back into Iraq, and then the new force, the Libyan government is destable and is getting threatened by the current one that was in there, the ISIS-backed one that they allowed to get put in.
And Iran, poor Iran. I mean, they're pretty pro-Western. The people there. I mean, they're into Western culture. They're into having modern things. I mean, it's not.
They know more about American history and culture than most Americans do. Did you ever see that one? I think it was Jon Stewart or one of the night shows that did a man on the street piece over in Iran, and they're asking them about who the American presidents were, about this, that, and the other, and they were getting better results, more right answer questions than Americans were down in New York Times Square.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
All those Bernie voters over there don't know diddly.
No, it was before Bernie.
Oh, okay. Well, some politician defenders of some kind, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, Netherlands is excusing themselves in this massive failure by saying that they didn't find any ties with this Bakrawi individual. But Haaretz.com, this is Israeli news here, from a lot of, from people that wouldn't really have much incentive to even publish this. But basically, they're saying that Belgian intelligence had precise warning that the airport was targeted for bombing. Now, this is Haaretz, including the subways here. The Belgian security service, as well as other Western intelligence agencies, had advanced and precise intelligence warnings regarding the terrorist attacks in Belgium on Tuesday, Haaretz has learned. The security services knew with high degree of certainty that the attacks were planned on the very near future for the airport and apparently for the subway as well. Despite the advanced warning, the intelligence and security preparedness in Brussels, where most of the European Union agencies are located, was limited in its scope and insufficient for the severity and immediacy of the alert.
Do they not have TSA there?
Yeah, right.
They must not. We gotta do a
catch all
world.
the terrorists.
We gotta do a world TSA.
So yeah, they're at the heart of the European Union, but they have limited scope and they're inefficient.
It's funny how the branches of tyranny are. We've got a couple experiments of tyranny over here in the West, and then over there in Europe, they're experimenting in other different types of tyranny. They've already been through the full socialism, so they're kind of weeding away from that. But now they're doing the scare tactics in the full,
turn up the police state.
Technological age.
Yeah, exactly. Turn up. We got to get the national ID cards.
Well, yeah, we're going to head back to a very nationalistic world. It seems like with all the borders popping up, and that's perfect recipe for World War. I mean, you can't have the New World Order until we have another World War. People aren't just going to accept it freely, give up their sovereignty as such. There's too many patriots out there, so we got to annihilate. We got to have people kill on levels unseen. Except for the world wars in order to
you got to support
get people
Israel.
on board. You got to support Israel, right? So yeah, I mean, you're in the heart of the European Union, and you just don't have the scope and efficiency to be able to see this coming. I guess as far as is known, the attacks were planned by the headquarters of the Islamic State, ISIS, in Raqqa, Syria, which it has pronounced as the capital of the Islamic Caliphate. The terror cell responsible for the attacks in Brussels on Tuesday was closely associated with the network behind the series of attacks in Paris last November. At this stage, it appears that both were part of the same terrorist infrastructure connected at the top by the terrorist Salah Abdeslam, who is involved in both the preparation for the Paris attacks and its implementation. Abdeslam escaped from Paris after the November attacks hit out in Brussels and was arrested last week by Belgian authorities. Abdesam's arrest was apparently the trigger for Tuesday's attacks due to the concern in ISIS that he might give information about the planned attacks under interrogation, particularly in the light of reports that he was cooperating with his captors. So this is like a big mental propaganda campaign that we're because the reporters, the media, which we know is well connected with the government, is reporting that Abdeslam was cooperating with the captors almost as an instigation. And it's like when the bad cop tries to call your bluff and just starts lying to you in order to see how much you cough up and what you do, how you react to what he's telling you.
We already know you did the murder.
Yeah, yeah, we found this, or we got you on this. Or
Might as well just admit it. It'll make it a lot easier. We won't give you the full hammer.
Yeah, I mean, so it seems like something was up, and then to know that the terrorist attacks were coming, right? You got some information about it, and then you're saying that he's cooperating with captors. Why would you put?
It's in the state's best interest to grow the state, so more excuses the better.
Oh yeah. We are coming on break. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen.
Easy.
And we are back live. This is Truth Exposed on the Logos Radio Network. And we were just getting into some of the topics of the day. I think we had just kind of wrapped up the terrorist attack, so we're finished with that.
Yeah, pretty much here. We got about a paragraph or two left.
Let's knock it out.
Yeah, let's knock it out. So the article continues that the testimony of the detained terrorists alongside other intelligence information, part of which concerned ISIS operations in Syria, should have resulted in much more stringent security preparedness in crowded public places in Brussels, along with a heightened search for the cell. As of now, the search is focused on the terrorist Nijam Lachraoui, who created the explosive vests used by the bombers and escaped from the airport at the last moment. There is concern, however, that the other cells connected to ISIS in Western Europe will attempt to carry out additional attacks in the near future, either in Belgium or in other countries involved in the war against the terror organization in Syria and Iraq. At least 31 people were killed and 260 wounded in the terrorist bombings at the Brussels airport. I wonder who's doing security at the Brussels airport. It'd be interesting to find out.
Was it a Bush company? Like the same company was doing 9/11, the Twin Towers?
Right. The cousin or the brother.
I'm sure somebody.
Marvin. Starving for more state, Marvin.
Starving Marvin, State, and Bush.
Yep.
For real. So 260 people were wounded in this terrorist bombings at the airport and the subway system. And, of course, ISIS claimed responsibility, as they do for everything. Belgian authorities have named the two airport attackers as the brothers Ibrahim and Khalid El-Brakrawi. Letraoui, who was photographed with the brothers at the airport and was observed fleeing the scene, is the subject of a massive manhunt.
Well, don't the Mexicans have a different name for ISIS?
Mexicans?
Yeah.
ISIS?
Yeah, they have another name for ISIS. I think they call it the Kukui.
Oh, it's Kukui? The devil?
The boogeyman?
The boogeyman, yeah. Yeah.
You know, I want to say they have, the same, security measures in Brussels as they do here in the U.S. with the liquids and the gels and.
Oh, okay. Equally as dehumanizing in this.
It's what it looks like from just a little quick search real quick. Yeah, it's what it looks like. And we already know the story here. The TSA here have never caught a terrorist. As a matter of fact, they let them. They make sure they get right in.
And didn't they caught TSA doing like several TSA agents like stealing stuff from people?
Oh, more than several. One guy had stole like over $1 million worth of items.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just himself.
Yeah, just himself. One guy.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, I
bet his pal was lavish.
Oh, yeah. They steal laptops, phones, whatever. Anything that's in your luggage, here and there that they see a value and they want.
Right. Did you hear that about that lady who she was carrying on a $200 bottle of cognac in her purse, and they didn't want to let her take it on board, so she just chugged it.
Oh, wow.
Right there in line, $200 worth.
Wow.
I don't know how big the bottle was.
I guess I would have probably maybe shared with somebody. Like,
start handing out shots.
Yeah, hey, there's some good stuff right here. Like, these people are crazy.
Get your shot before you get on board. Come get your shot. Free shots.
Right.
They're kind without needles. You want some.
Right. They don't want you to pass out any information about how the TSA is, a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but you could probably pass out some shots.
Yeah, right.
Get liquored up before you get groped up.
Right. And even really discussing things. I identified multiple TSA guys relieving themselves, if you will, as they were looking at the scanned images of people.
Yeah.
And
so you should at least get a little tipsy before you get groped by these people. Might as well
at least, right?
Might as well get drinks out of it.
Lower your inhibitions.
I know there's like 2 or 3 cases too where they like ran around like screaming like I'm God and like ripping their clothes off and all kinds of weird stuff.
Oh, wow!
People get the power, man, goes to their head.
Right?
It's a minimum wage power trip.
Definitely.
So, really interesting information coming out of Haaretz. Western intelligence agencies knew, Brussels knew, that it was going to be the airport, their airport, and the subway system. And then they capture the main guy and release it out in public that he's cooperating and don't bother heightening security or nothing.
It's
for your safety.
It's a pattern.
It's okay. We got him. We just need a little bit of your liberty now.
Yeah.
Standard procedure.
Because didn't they lock down the city and start doing raids on houses?
I don't know.
I think that's after the French attack in France.
Yeah, that was definitely.
Yeah, but they do the same thing.
I'm sure they went after him. Yeah, they had to like bust into different houses where
just like they did in Boston.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That was a. What about? Did you hear that the guy who was at all 3 terrorist attacks? He was at Boston, he was at Paris, and he was at Brussels.
Yeah, I had seen something about that. I didn't really read up on it.
That guy just needs to stop going outside of his house. He's just got. It's gonna happen, man. It's gonna be a like Final Destination style. It's gonna get him.
They said that on a mainstream news, or maybe it was a local. It was televised that they said that, and I was just blown away. Like they would even admit that.
Did he survive the Pentagon too?
I know, right? How could somebody just?
Yeah, I mean that's like Messiah numbers there. You're dealing with the probability of that one individual being there at all the events.
That dude is just truly blessed, man. Someone's got a plan for him.
And why they
obviously apparently involves a lot of traveling too. I mean,
and just the psyop of why they would even admit that. I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of strange that you would admit that. I mean, if you were I don't know.
I guess the more you admit, right, the less you have to cover.
Yeah, I guess. Right? Yeah, probably.
So it's like the more people are willing to accept, the less you have to worry about covering your tracks.
I guess the next question should have been: Is he a crisis actor?
No, he's a manager probably or something. an overseer or something. Maybe he's a
it'd be interesting to look into that guy's background.
Maybe he's a handler,
a monarch,
controller.
Yeah, totally. I mean, shoot, the possibilities are endless. But if that is true,
just speculation. But
yeah, those numbers are astronomical. The chances of that happening to one individual.
It's just like they were running running drills on 9/11 and 7/7 and all the countless other ones. I mean, just happened to be running drills about the same thing. Like,
oh, right, at the same exact locations.
Yeah,
same times.
Those odds are like the lottery.
Yeah.
So
up there with the odds of evolving out of mud, I think.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But it's just nuts. We do encourage you guys to check out logosradionetwork.com and check out the great lineup of advertisers and sponsors that we have on the right-hand side of our page there, logosradionetwork.com. Everything from your non-GMO solutions, canned food, storable food, using Logos promo code Logos itself, you get 10% discount. Do your shopping through Amazon, birthday gifts. When you got to buy a new book, a new video, whatever, new stock or sight for your gun or whatever.
Whatever, something breaks, and you got to replace it. Somebody stole something.
You can buy all kinds of stuff on Amazon, but you can help out the station if you clear your cookies out and use Logos as a proxy.
And definitely would appreciate that. Global Healing Center, of course, great stuff there as far as detoxing all your essential organs and detoxing your body, getting it up to par. Definitely check out Global Healing Center. Live green and live well. And if you want to hedge against inflation in a nifty carry-on format, portable format, definitely check out the Gold Savings Club with their really neat real gold bullion currency Carrot Bar cards, which
really nice, fit in your wallet.
Yeah,
fit in your wallet. You don't have to worry about carrying a big sack of gold coins
or being like Cuddy and having it on your grill,
around your neck, whatnot.
Yes, sir. So definitely check that out.
You ever had to break off a chain link to somebody, Cuddy?
No, not happening.
Break my legs instead.
Yeah.
But Fashion Over. Well, that's your chain too. I mean,
that's insurance for something happens. Got some money right there.
And you got problems in court, howtowinincourt.com. No lawyer, no problem. Definitely check that out. Another great source for advice, tips.
Yes, sir. All of that on the logosradionetwork.com website.
So now that we got some of the headlines of the day out of the way, unless you guys have anything else come to mind, what do you guys feel about going on to this, moving on where we were with Locke?
I thought you had a good segue for it, though. Weren't you going to talk about
somebody invading your property rights?
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You forgot to bring up
I don't want to talk about it.
Or are we touching on something?
Well, I mean, you're talking about the cops. Yeah.
Well, there's some defenders of supposedly people who are out there fighting for, your freedoms are on the streets aggressing against your freedoms. And it's just a sad state of affairs when people think they're fighting for your freedoms and then they come around and trample on them. And it's because, that's offending them. They're offended by you expressing your right to freedom of speech, to freedom of expression. And it's just really ridiculous to see these numbskull, order-following zombies who don't know how to think for themselves and don't know how to learn from the difference between right and wrong and want to just, go on some feels rampage and...
All right, you got to fill me on this because I completely missed the story. I remember catching part of it the other day.
Everyone's discussing, everyone's trying to debate whose supporters are more violent. Trump supporters or Bernie supporters. Which supporters are more violent? Well, hands down, military servicemen and women are the most violent. If you offend them in your political beliefs, it turns out they threaten you in a lot heftier ways than a little scrawny socialist or a big old Trump supporter.
Yeah, they'll get aggressive and get physical.
They really will. So I'm going to briefly break down a little occurrence that happened to me last week, and I'm going to move on to property rights. So definitely stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. I do appreciate it.
Logos Radio Network presents Truth Exposed Radio, a transmission promoting resistance to tyranny. Listen in as we explore counter-economics, spontaneous order, and the human strive for liberty with your hosts, Rick Rody, Marshall Soul, and Cuddy Rowe. And now, Truth Exposed Radio.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Truth Exposed Radio right here on the Logos Radio Network. It's March 30th. Hope you guys out there are enjoying it. I'm Marshall Soul, along with my compadres.
Cuddy Rowe.
Rick Rody.
And I think we're going to touch up on what happened to you, Rick, because I only caught a part of it the other day, and I want to get the full story.
Yeah, sure, man. Well, ladies and
I'm like
gentlemen,
the audience here. I only know.
Yeah, right.
I didn't know.
Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a friend of mine, we tend to go out every other weekend or so downtown, holding a sign, holding different kinds of flags, passing out flyers, whatnot. Have confrontational people, but out of every 10 confrontational people, you get one that wants to listen and maybe interject and possibly even take the flyer with them. So it's really worth it all at the end of the day. But this time around, we know which flags tend to rile people up and which ones people really love and adore. It's funny how the Come and Toke It flag with the big marijuana leaf on it, everyone
wants to come and get
their
their
grandma
picture.
comes to
They want to get their picture taken with it.
They sure do.
Like it's a photo op.
They sure do. But when it comes to waving here an upside down American flag,
America,
God forbid.
And a lot of people don't even understand what an upside down flag being flown means.
No, they don't. I always have to reference them to the flag code.
The flag code, U.S. flag code states that it's a distress signal.
At which point, a lot of them ask me, "Well, are you in distress? Are you?"
No, but our country is. Would you admit that? And most of them will be like, "Oh yeah, my country is in distress."
But that's disrespectful.
They'll anyway. Say it now that Obama's in office, but they're usually the people that object to it were the right wingers. And when you did that when Bush was in office, oh man, they're
right.
Like, oh, you think our country's in distress? Oh, what you and them hippies? You don't like Bush?
Yeah. And either way, it seems like we're here in San Antonio. I mean, this is known for being a military town. So right off of Commerce, there, the main strip, we got pretty much 6th Street. It's pretty much loaded with 75%, over 50% of the people there drinking and enjoying themselves are military men and women, servicemen and women. I don't know what they're serving for, but they're there.
I would say there's own self-interest and the interest of the banksters.
Right.
They're just usually just passing through. They're stationed over in the area to do some particular things before they get stationed off somewhere else.
Yeah.
So they didn't like your property and the way you were displaying your own property.
No, they didn't. Apparently, the flag upside down was too much for them, and soon enough, we had some a couple guys who were claiming to be in the military up in our faces, yelling, getting pretty confrontational. We're just wanting to explain our position on things, and they don't really want to listen to us.
I saw the video.
You should have had Henry with you. Did you go out with him like one time? We were doing open carry.
Yeah, and we realized we need to open carry when we do this. A lot more people.
A lot of protests need to be backed by militias or open carry people or something to that nature.
It helps keep things civil.
So it really does. So anyway, these gentlemen, there was one of them I noticed who was the one that was trying to have the conversation versus being confrontational. Didn't really want to even hear your dialogue. He just wanted to spout say his piece, which is whatever. I mean, it's in public, but he acted like he knew what your message was about or anything without even getting into any dialogue at all.
I mean, they automatically assume we're Black Lives Matter. They automatically assume we're a bunch of commies.
Yeah.
Well, they don't even know what it means.
We're Occupy or this.
Yeah. And they don't even know what those things, I mean, they're more communist or Occupy than we are.
Definitely.
They don't even know what they even mean by these political ideas or philosophies, but nonetheless, they know that they're getting mad about it. They're offended. And their feels are hurt.
And they don't have to know about the ideologies because they're just order followers and they're just told what to do and they're mindless. And so they just go and do what they're told.
Yeah.
But
they
it's
don't
not
need to take it out for
fault.
themselves.
They were trained to be that way, though. You have to understand that.
Oh, it was their choice to be trained that way. I mean, they went and they said, well, we're going to go and, be tough.
It seems comfy.
Killer machines or whatever they think they're going to do for the country or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to remember, when you're 16, whenever you start getting experience to ROTC into school.
Oh, I agree with you, man. But to some, I mean, getting yelled at and following orders all day is a heck of a lot more, friendly environment in their eyes than actually having to compete in the marketplace of ideas and in the marketplace of other people's experiences and abilities.
It's because the responsibility is taken away and they don't have any responsibility. And, they always want to say that they want to act like their responsibilities to keeping their family fed or something like that. And it's not. Your responsibility is to the truth, to right and wrong, to freedom, to yourself, because then taking care of yourself, then you can take care of your family. They need to break things down and instead of just, they're just self-loathing. It seems like they've locked themselves in a cage, thrown away the key, mentally, and they're like empty souls walking around. They're like, that's what they'd call a goy, it's like a robot. It's
a tool.
A tool, yeah, definitely.
To be used by those in authority
and
those in power.
And the authority of, made several comments about that. So, I mean.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, even at one point, we had an older gentleman along with the military guy that was confronting us, or one of the military guys, actually trying to yank the pole with the flag already rolled up out of our hands. Got into this big debacle. Random people started jumping in our favor, other people in their favor. It was almost about to get to a heated free for all.
It's a brawl,
an all out brawl. Yeah, when big ol', deputy whoever,
police officer, SAPD
showed up and calmed the situation down. At which point, really the level of cognitive development of these gentlemen, so called, really was revealed. I mean, it almost seemed. And we're going to find a way to upload this footage. It's on my phone, but we'll have it on the page here sometime this week for sure. This today, tomorrow, but it's not not much. But you do see that there is no mental process happening in these military men. It may be because they're intoxicated. I don't know. Maybe they can't think straight. Usually, I can still hold the conversation even with a couple of whiskeys. So I just don't get this. It seems like you couldn't have that conversation even if they were sober. They wouldn't be able to handle it. So.
It wasn't going to happen. No.
So luckily, we stood our ground. Hold on to our goods, our property, and told them to back off. Told them that they were aggressing on our rights. And shoot, I'm just glad it didn't escalate to anything more than that, because really, we know who the cops are going to come in and arrest. We know who the cops are going to come in and beat up. It's not going to be the military servicemen and women fighting the guys with the backwards flag.
No, those are the good people who go out.
They're saving the day.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the cop even came in and said, "Hey, if you guys continue to be here and continue waving your flags, you guys are going to come out of here in a wheelchair," and kind of implying, well, there's nothing we're going to do about it.
Yeah. They're not there to protect your rights.
Right.
Like they're supposed to.
Right.
So that's why you have somebody who can, openly carry a rifle or a firearm in some manner out there to, just stand off the distance.
Yeah, to the side or just bearing it myself.
One of the reasons they don't want people owning guns is because then they can freely express themselves and protect their freedom of speech. And you don't want people walking around spouting truth to people now.
Because didn't it go much calmer whenever you had Henry with you that one time when he had his AK-74?
Yeah, he has an AK strap that had my black and white American flag backwards. And, of course, people would give us the stare down and the evil looks, the el ojo, from across the street. But they'd quickly scurry away once we looked at them for more than a second or two, So.
Yeah. They seen the gun and they said, better not.
Yeah.
Or, they approach you, just keep it civil. Because someone is less likely to get aggressive with somebody if they realize that they're armed.
Yeah. And it's hilarious, pretty much all the confrontations are the same rhetoric-wise. I mean, it's the same complaints. Why you got the flag backwards? Well, that's disrespectful. My feelings are hurt. Men and women died for that flag.
The only person who died for this is my, blood, sweat, and tears that paid for this flag when it became my property.
Yeah, I mean, I kept having to remind people this was my, 99-cent Chinese-made Dollar Tree doormat, and quit, just get off from it.
So during the scuffle, I think
you want to buy it from me.
During the scuffle,
you feel it's being neglected. You want to buy it from me?
During the scuffle, your friend that was with you said, we've got freedom of speech, or no, we don't have freedom of speech because of guys like you. And it was just right in the heat of the moment.
The freedom of speech is to protect guys like that.
Oh yeah, but
they're sitting there claiming that the guys like that are defending freedom of speech, yet
they're aggressing on freedom of speech.
No, I'm saying they're saying that what you're doing is why we're losing the right to freedom of speech, and it's like freedom of speech is there to protect those actions, like the unpopular news, the unpopular things to be said. That's what it's protecting.
Yeah, I mean, freedom of speech isn't for protecting, hey, how you doing today? Good evening, madam. It's to protect the offensive ideas, the offensive concepts.
That's not sexist.
What?
Madam? What? You trying to imply that somebody might be like, house madam or something?
Everyone lives in a house now. Well, not everyone, but a lot of homeless out there.
My feels.
A lot of homeless VAs, mind you, out there, and maybe that's why they're pissed off. Maybe they got screwed over by their employer or something. I don't know.
By their government employer?
Yeah.
Well, they keep them inundated with enough drugs. They don't know what's going on.
And they do take a lot. Don't they? They take a lot of shots.
They figure if they die sooner, they won't have to give them as much benefits as long.
Oh yeah, you don't want them getting into retirement age, do you?
No.
You don't want them actually retiring in the military. You got to find a way to kick them out, discharge them, decommission,
keep the Social Security.
Yeah, it's a sick world out there and sick people out there. But just try to do what you can, peeps, and keep freedom shining bright as you can. But let's get into this John Locke. This property. We slightly discussed the flag and whatnot, and there's other issues there with public property and my private property, and it gets a little little bit more complex. But let's see where we're at with Locke. I know that we finished section 29 here, just about, in his chapter 5 of property. And he had just finished making an excellent point how Native Americans who killed the food that they ate, acquisition property in that process of going to hunt the buffalo or going fishing, gained you the right to control that food. And I seriously doubt the Indians weren't willing to defend the food that they had hunted for so strenuously.
Everyone had a right to go and get the food, but once they used their time and their energy to acquire it, then it became theirs.
Amen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are coming on to a break here.
This is the Logos Radio Network.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen, Truth Exposed Radio, and we are live this lovely Wednesday. Feel free to call in, 512-646-1984. And just breaking down this Locke, just mentioned the fact that he made an awesome point about Native Americans and their acquiring of natural resources and food, and how that became transformed into their property. I love this point because so many times when discussing property with a lot of people, they'll bring up ancient civilizations or more native communal, groups or whatever, tribes, and point to the Indians as if they didn't, look at these people. They lived in harmony without property rights. At which point that seems completely illogical, because I don't know which Indian would just sit there and allow you to take this whole feast.
They were territorial in a sense. They didn't allow certain tribes to trespass upon their areas.
You're not going to take their horse. You're not going to take their teepee. You're not going to take their food. Get out of here.
Bows and arrows, whatnot.
Yeah. No, but I mean, they would fight. They had knives, all kinds of stuff. I mean, they're not
all stereotypical.
It's just it's a fallacy to think that there was no property, that they didn't respect property.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you mean all stereotypical there, Marshall? You get me on.
You're just throwing out the feathers and the bows and the arrows and.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's.
Well, I mean, what? They're DJ kits.
I just found it funny. But then, you look at the cases whenever settlers had landed on the shores. Many of them were slaughtered at the hands of some of these tribes that were territorial, or they waited and they saw what they were doing and saw that they were settling the area. So then they came in and sabotaged them and killed some of the.
Yeah, some of them were definitely more.
There were some that were aggressive.
Warish.
There were some more that were more aggressive. Some that were more humble and welcoming.
Yeah, willing to trade and whatnot.
Willing to become subjects of the state.
Come on now.
All the tribes had a big kumbaya before, the Europeans came.
Yeah, before property rights were instituted. So I thought that was a really great point. And then he finished it up with fishing, the idea of fishing and basically people transforming the fish that they catch out in the ocean, which is common property, common to all mankind. How, the fish you catch makes it yours. And we left off last week on this point here because we did get into the idea of overfishing and then the idea of seasteading slightly and how certain companies or certain fishing agencies, it seems more logical or it seems more practical to give sole jurisdiction of certain sea fishing spots to certain companies instead of just leaving it open to everybody. Because when you do that, we have cases like in Japan or off the coasts of China where people are just overfishing.
Killing hundreds of whales and all kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah, right? You saw those?
Yeah, I can't look at that.
The annual dolphin slaughter.
Right? And I mean, that's whatever, but at the same time,
private companies have more incentive to conserve resources and to replenish them.
If they own it, yeah, they're going to. Exactly. There's a reason the cow will never go extinct.
Yeah, exactly. Someone sees it as a commodity and it's something of use and make sure that they maintain them.
But the creepy thing is you see the transformations of the cow and the various other animals where bioengineering has come into play and they're trying to get better milk and all this genetic engineering they're doing to it.
Well, I mean, one thing would be like actual genetic engineering, and another thing would be like breeding to get certain traits, right?
Yeah, we've done that with.
I mean, like all the canines and dogs we got out there.
Oh, yeah. That's probably the most, right?
Yeah, the last 200 years at the 200-300 years that the canine has been
transformed or whatever.
Supposedly they
to
found,
weenies and whatnot.
Supposedly they found a cave dog with a caveman frozen. Like that they had like dog companions. Like
in a cave.
I don't doubt it at all.
Yeah, that's cool. So moving on to section 30 here, because he just finished about fishing and all this. Just going to start reading this, see where it leads. It will perhaps be objected to this, that if gathering the acorns or other fruits of the earth, etc., makes it right to them, then anyone may engross as much as he will. To which I answer, not so. The same law of nature that does by this means give us property does also bound that property too. God has given us all things richly, is the voice of reason confirmed by inspiration. But how far has he given it to us? To enjoy? As much as anyone can make use of at any advantage of life before it spoils? So much as he may by his labor fix a property in. Whatever is beyond this is more than his share and belongs to others. So this is an interesting concept, the idea of keeping from hoarding things just to hoard them. And at this point in history, late 1600s, early 1700s, there was no full analysis of economics quite yet. I mean, sure, Adam Smith was on his way and Turgot had written some things by this time, but there just wasn't a full school of economics fully developed yet. So the deductive reasoning behind the idea that basically hoarding wouldn't take place in a free market for X amount of reasons hadn't been fully realized yet. So I can see why Locke had this concern. What if somebody just came around and started picking all the apples off the trees? Should he be allowed to, even though he's got omers and omers of apples just spoiling in his house?
I don't see why not. It just doesn't seem logical, though. But yeah.
Why would you spend all that time collecting apples
when you already had apples?
That you're just going to let rot?
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. It seems like wasting your energy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Seems like something government would do.
I just don't want you to have any apples without paying for them.
Well, yeah, sure. Okay, yeah. But if they're spoiling, ain't nobody going to buy them anyway.
Yeah.
So you worked more than you needed to.
It just seems just like spinning your wheels in mud.
No, I convinced this other guy to do it for a couple of apples.
Do what now?
I paid this other guy a couple of apples to take down all the apples.
But he wouldn't do that because he could just go pick apples himself.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not that smart.
Well, I don't know. You got to find some knucklehead.
I think it's becoming easier nowadays.
Well, I think they called it enlisting back in the day, right?
Got him. Got him.
And again, that phone number call in is
512-646-1984. Don't be scared.
You heard? So, this is good. This is a good point here to come to a conclusion. And Rothbard really has some great stuff on hoarding. I highly suggest you read up his Man, Economy, and State and what he had to say about hoarding and why it's just impractical, illogical. Doesn't make sense that people would spin their gears like that, expend their energy and time on something that wasn't going to be used. It wasn't going to be benefited in some way. And besides, if you're hoarding a bunch of stuff, you got to pay for the storage of that hoarding. You got to pay for the protecting of that hoarding of whatever good it may be. So
it's costing you something.
It's costing you. It's costing you. You can't just have baskets and baskets of apples chilling unattended to.
Made a house out of apples.
What about the flies? And the other animals are going to find their way in.
Exactly. Exactly. So I can see his concern, but at the same time, he's off. But you can't blame the guy. He's a pioneer in this way of thinking.
I mean, it's people's right to hoard if they want, though. It's just not going to be feasible, and it's just going to, whatever.
It's not in your best interest to do so.
I got 500 PS4s, right?
I mean, if they want to, whatever.
I plugged them all together, made a super
People
computer.
like that just aren't going to last long. Like, it's just,
Yeah, not too much in the noggin. No. So he continues on here saying that nothing was made by God for man to spoil or destroy, and thus considering the plenty of natural provisions there was a long time in the world, and the few spenders, and how small a part of that provision the industry of one man could extend itself and engross it to the prejudice of others, especially keeping within the bounds set by reason of what might serve for his use, there could be then little room for quarrels or contentions about property so established. So here he's leading into an important point. It's when we have scarcity that some form of tension starts to arise, right? But the scarcity always leads to warfare? Is the communist euphemism true? Is scarcity and greed the cause of all our problems, or is that just the reality of nature? So we're going to keep breaking this down. Definitely stay tuned.
Put down that that soda and back away. New research shows drinking one sugary soft drink a day dramatically increases men's odds of developing aggressive prostate cancer. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, back with details in a moment.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This message is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
If you're a man who chugs soft drinks, I've got some bad news. A 15-year study finds men who drink just one can of soda a day were a whopping 40% more likely to develop prostate cancer than those who avoid the stuff. Swedish researchers tracked the diets and health of 8,000 men. They found a clear link between soda and sugary soft drinks and more aggressive, fast-growing forms of the disease. Their analysis also linked consuming large amounts of rice, pasta, cakes, and sugary cereals with a less serious form of prostate cancer. So, fellas, swap that soda for water. The family jewels will be very grateful. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht for StartPage.com, the world's most private search engine.
Actually be kidding about chemtrails.
You're listening to the Logos Radio Network at logosradionetwork.com.
We're back live this March 30th, 2016. This is Truth Exposed here on the Logos Radio Network. And don't forget, this is the last day for the gun giveaway. Go to logosradionetwork.com to, enter the drawing to win the first place Spike Skull Lower Receiver or the second place prize, the Taurus Curve. Really sleek little concealed handgun.
Cuddy's got a few entries in there to pick him up on.
You better get out there and get some entries in. I'm going to win everything.
Yeah, we got a couple hours left, too, just over 4 hours. So definitely, guys, this would keep the transmission pumping for another year. And again, this isn't to line anybody's pockets. This is simply to pay for the expenses of the transmission. All the great lineup of shows that Logos Radio Network carries on their schedule. So, let's do it. Let's try to make as much as this deadline as we can, this goal that we can. Let's raise the roof.
All you got to do is go to logosradionetwork.com. We take Bitcoin, MasterCard, Visa, American Express. Get in there. You can even purchase Eddie Craig's traffic seminar before March 31st, and you can receive 10 entries into this gun drawing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You better get it while the getting is good. Time is of the essence.
I want that Taurus Curve. The Taurus Curve looks so good.
Built-in laser and light.
So. I know. I want to get me something, a smaller pistol because my 357 and 45 just a little too big.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I think they still got the Magic Mud going on, so who knows about that one? But there's a chance in there if you get into the drawing that you'll get a complimentary My Magic Mud. So definitely check them out and their product. That's some good stuff right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Polish them teeth and detoxify your mouth. Great
for all them dirty mouths out there.
Yeah, cursing,
whatnot.
We don't know where your mouth been.
Yeah, guys. So definitely would be awesome to have y'all come on board, be part of the team. And what better feeling to have than to know that you were a part of keeping Logos on the air, transmitting on the airwaves, and just getting that truth pounded out there, that information, that logic, that philosophy, that Bible analysis, that the rule of law, the breakdown of court proceedings, everything on this great lineup of shows, this great network, you can be part of. So definitely encourage you guys to get on board. So we're just breaking down John Locke's property here. Chapter on property, and some good stuff here towards the end of his hoarding point, bringing up no Marshall, not whoring point.
I was laughing at him hoarding. What are you assuming?
Hoarding?
Oh, okay. Well, his hoarding point, basically here bringing up towards the end that if his reasoning is if no one hoarded, then we wouldn't have conflict about limited resources, or at least not as much conflict. And this really brings up a crucial point here. Limited resources, scarcity, to some degree does cause tension. If it's the last buffalo in the world, there's going to be a lot of people clamoring to get that. I understand that.
But there could be a lot of people also who might want to see if they can find one to reproduce with it to produce maybe more, or maybe an offshoot species.
Or they could own the buffalo, sure. If you're not allowed to own it, then why spend all that time and energy trying to get them to reproduce? if someone else can just take your
buffalo.
No, that's very true. That's very true, Marshall. Yeah. People would want to reproduce them if they could gain the products of such efforts.
Of their labor.
Of such efforts. Yeah, so true. And we wonder why extinct animals that aren't allowed to be owned other than by government zoos are going extinct. Can there be a relation here possibly?
It takes too much effort to think, Rick. No, exactly.
It's like these safaris out in Africa, right? They let you go hunting after wild, really exotic game.
They make sure that the game is replenished. Yes, they don't want the game to go extinct. Otherwise, their money and their interests are gone. So it's better left in private hands.
We certainly think so. And we do have a caller here. Before we move on to the next point, I believe it is Chris reporting in from South Carolina. Chris Terry, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Hanging in there, man. Hanging in there.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I just, I've been busy today cleaning and cooking and trying to handle business, but I chimed in long enough to hear the last few remarks about the content right now, and I wanted to say, recently I had someone debating with me about what is prosperity, and I said, well, what if I want to be an old man who doesn't have to struggle, and I want to have a little bit of capital saved or something for myself and my family, Couldn't I call that prosperity? Like, how would you say that I'm being greedy or by my prosperity that I'm taking from others, as they would have us believe?
Some would say that was just responsible. Having a little extra cash for just in case if something happens.
Right. The logic of saving and investing is somehow greedy to the social communist type.
No, that's actually smart. I mean, like, my grandfather never even had credit. He purchased cash everything he saved for it. He didn't trust
What did your grandfather do for a living?
He was a milkman.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Nice.
Selling T-Rex milk or what kind of
right.
Milkman, business owner, he handyman and all that stuff. But the older crowd, they had a distrust of the banking system and of credit and all that. They knew that it's just a debt cycle. They saw the interest rates.
So yeah, interesting.
And
go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to just say this and let you comment. Was I realized besides that, what you were saying about the animals and wildlife, it's only a capitalist, someone who realizes the value of things in a more proportionate manner, who can make the right kinds of decisions, that would respect something enough to keep it going and actually breed the animal and not just kill it like a tribal communist dictate would, just like, oh, slay it, give it to the greater good, screw saving anything.
Yeah, and then you end up with bread lines and shortages and everything, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, because, in communism, you wait for the bread, and in capitalism, the bread waits for you.
Yes, sir. And then pretty soon you get turned into Soylent Green. Right?
Yeah, right. So much so that a lot of it even spoils on the shelf. I mean, it's sad to think all the food that this country lets go to waste. Because there's so much plenty, there's so much to choose from, so much being produced.
Because there's a little bit of freedom left.
But capitalism!
Yeah, right.
It's retarded.
Yeah.
No, it's very true, Chris. And you really brought up a crucial point there at the beginning. It's not what causes poverty that should be the question on our minds. Poverty is a natural state of things. We're born into this world naked, dumb, and incapable of taking care of ourselves. What more poverty can you ask for? What the real question we should be seeking to answer, and the real point of everything we are trying to reach at, is what causes prosperity, like you were mentioning? What causes wealth?
Mm-hmm. And what is it that keeps you in poverty?
The faculties of the human mind, ingenuity and knowledge. I mean, logic and reason, It's clear that the people that are against prosperity or don't understand the criteria of it are, illogical, emotional, and love to throw fallacies in the face of anyone who's trying to reason with them and, goes against what they believe. So they don't want to admit that it's a belief system, but it is.
Yeah, right. Even those that say they have nothing to do with philosophy or ideas are accepting philosophies and ideas. They're unbeknown nihilists in the making.
Exactly. Yeah, nihilist. You're right. Nihilism is communism, and they fit together. Whether people know it or not, they totally fit together. Built of the same machine.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want you to be able to nail anything down or to describe anything or define anything. Otherwise, you might be able to make sense of everything that they're, that makes no sense,
Yep. You said it.
Awesome, Chris. Well, I do appreciate you calling in, man, and I hope the best for you in South Carolina. I know you fighting the man there as much as you can, man, trying to get the word out there. So we do wish you Godspeed and the best to you, man. Love you calling in all the time, and we're gonna keep reading this John Locke after we come back from these messages, ladies and gentlemen. So definitely stay tuned because we're gonna see if we're gonna see that Locke wasn't a goon at all, but a freedom fighter. Stay tuned.
Easy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Truth Exposed Radio right here on the Logos Radio Network. Marshall Stoloff, my compadres.
Cuddy Rowe.
Rick Rody.
And we're going to jump right back into that John Locke.
Yeah. Coming in heavy with the casualties and some Locke, so get locked and loaded over here.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yes.
Lock down the truth, baby.
Yeah,
Since we only got like 10 more minutes or so.
Yeah, we do got a little bit.
Well, let's get in this.
Let's do it. Section 31, Chapter 5. But the chief matter of property being now not the fruits of the earth and the beasts that subsist on it, but the earth itself, as that which takes in and carries with it all the rest. I think it is plain that property in that, too, is acquired as the former. As much land as a man tills, plants, improves, cultivates, and can for himself use, right, and produce, and can use the product of so much of his property, he by his labor does, as it were, encloses it from the common. Nor will it invalidate his right to say everybody else has an equal title to it, and therefore he cannot appropriate, he cannot enclose, without the consent of all his fellow commoners, all mankind. Yeah, bringing up what we were bringing up ages ago, right?
And government's a good example of that, with all the bureaucracies and yellow tape and red tape and everything there is just to do a business, to do anything. You've got to ask for permission from a multitude of people.
May not be the whole world, but it's a group of people who claim to be speaking for the whole world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Can't represent you very well. They don't. You have to go in and talk to them and ask. I mean, if they were such good representatives, I think they'd already know, to allow you to be free. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Right. So you're bringing in a good point here, right? That's kind of what we were talking about earlier. You can't just fence an area that's just naturally a mountain, whatever, a cliff, and just start claiming it as yours. You have to do something to it. Add your labor to it in some way. Till it, grow something on it, build something on it. So he continues on here saying that God, when he gave the world in common to all mankind, commanded man also to labor, and the penury of his condition required it of him. God in his reason commanded him to subdue the earth, i.e. improve it for the benefit of life, and therein lay out something upon it that was his own, his labor. He that in obedience to this command of God subdued, tilled, and sowed any part of it, thereby annexed it to something that was his property, which another had no title to, nor could without injury take it from him. I love how Locke brings in the word, so much of the Bible, I mean, this may be a reason here. We may be seeing why communism and socialism is an all-encompassing ideology that doesn't only encompass economics and human nature, but even spiritual matters, metaphysical, spiritual issues. Communism has an opinion on, and they're very, very, very anti-biblical. I mean, it doesn't take much in reading into Marx until you find out that he had a low regard for and despise almost for Judeo-Christian beliefs, for the Bible itself, for the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So, and it makes sense. I mean, if the same God, through his scriptures, if we can find out that we're all own ourselves and no man has a right to tell anybody else what to do, and this whole earth is up for grabs, and for those that put their labor to it, shoot, that ain't going to please a communist. That's a divine right to property right there.
They might have to do something to acquire their property.
Yeah, right.
They might have to do something to earn it justly,
Yeah, divine right to rule went out the window with literacy and the printing press.
True. And this was definitely something here at the first onset of it that was coming out. So, if only more people went to Locke, went to the classics, we wouldn't be in this mess.
No question about it. No question about it.
But yeah, I like that. The divine right of kings was made void because of the divine right to property. And you mentioned
the printing press and the literacy that people were able to read for themselves and start thinking for themselves, other than being told by their priest class was pretty much who was giving you the news.
Right.
You only know what you're told if you can't read and discern for yourself.
Common Core.
Yeah.
What ends up happening.
Yeah. Slaves can't read and write, and slaves don't own, guns. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we got WordPress nowadays, and it seems like people are reading less than when we had the printing press. So that's a bummer, man. It's a bummer, guys. Anyway, so this is pretty good. I like this, right? Using God and the Bible to substantiate the ownership of land by private individuals. Wow, good stuff. Completely runs in the face of the socialist Jesus that's promoted by all this. What is it? Liberation theologians and whatnot.
Man, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. So Section 32, nor was this appropriation of any parcel of land by improving it any prejudice to any other man, since there was still enough and is good left, and more than yet unprovided could use. So it's not an offense on somebody just because you homestead a piece of land. It's not like you took it from anybody, right? It's not like people are starving for a place to squat and build a house on.
No, there's still plenty of places to find land at the moment. And all those preserves, and even though you can still find areas out in the wilderness.
Oh yeah, isn't like majority of the U.S. wilderness?
Yeah,
the Western.
Boy, travel across the U.S., man, it's crazy. It's crazy. There's nothing but
city hopping. Man, that's all you do is city hop in between a bunch of land,
trees, woods for forever. Yeah, it's not overpopulated. That's a lie and a joke.
It's overpopulated in the control grid cities that they're stuffing us into. Yeah.
The controlled beehives
for sure, right?
The smart hive.
and this reminds me of just a quick story. I went to Mexico City recently, and I mean one of the biggest cities in the world. There's like never an end to it. But there was. We left Mexico City, and it's almost like this huge wall around the city. The barrier that starts the city. But after you get out of the city, it's nothing. It's like you feel like you're in the
jungle, right?
Yeah, it's like nothing but wooded areas. I mean, you don't even think you're in Mexico City anymore. For miles and miles,
and a lot of these people who have this belief that there's this huge overpopulation, they live in the cities where it's overpopulated and population is
and a lot of them from New York and whatnot.
Exactly.
A lot of them have been forced in there. Farmers that were out in the area that was once farmed land, now turned wilderness. They were forced out of their land.
Oh, yeah. And we've got things like Agenda 21 now, making sure we have this smart growth and this concentration of people, and it helps perpetuate the idea. The fallacy.
Soon to come smart cities. Yeah, we got to abandon our old cities in order to move into these new smart cities. Yeah.
Smart house. Your bed's in a drawer and a coffin. You can
have your cute little tiny house.
Yeah. It's cute.
It's adorable.
I wouldn't mind one of those silo houses that go in the ground.
Yeah, you're not going to be allowed that. That's for the elite, Marshall. You're not working for Gooberman, the saviors.
Yeah, right. So we still got a couple sections here to finish up. We're not going to get it done tonight, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead. I guess we'll just go ahead and wrap up this last paragraph. Basically saying that since you're not hurting anybody else and there's more than yet unprovided could use, so that in effect, there was nevertheless left for others because of his enclosure for himself. For he that leaves as much as another can make use of does as good as taking nothing at all. Nobody could think himself injured by the drinking of another man, though he took a good draught. Who had a whole river of the same water lift him to quench his thirst. In the case of land and water, there is enough of both. It's perfectly the same. So yeah, whether you drink up a whole river, there's plenty of water left. I mean, what's it to you, right? I don't know who can drink a whole river. If it was made out of beer, maybe I might know a couple people. But
right. We'll work on it.
I think the old saying is, if the river was whiskey, I'd be a diving duck.
Yeah, right. Some of those, what are the ones that come in down on the ocean in the not a pigeon, but a pelican, yeah. I don't know why I'm thinking city rat, flying rat. Yeah, those pelicans are amazing. You see that pelican that ate a hole of the bird?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swallowed a bird down his throat. The bird was trying to get out of his neck. That was gross.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Feathers and all.
He's trying to pop it out like, hey, help me!
It's like a cartoon, right? Oh, man. Well, guess what? Next episode, we'll wrap up that John Locke for you, huh?
Oh, yeah. Move on into some of the more complex things about property. Who the aggressors of property may be, the biggest aggressors. Some of the objections would be good.
Definitely.
From an economy perspective. So we're going to keep breaking this down as we usually do next week, every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. Do encourage you guys to check out logosradionetwork.com, our last day for the drawing.
Yeah, get in on that if you haven't already. I mean, heck, get in on it a couple times.
Yeah, definitely.
Could use all the help you can give.
Donations.
And be part of the team. It's an honor to be broadcasting,
transmitting,
yes,
rather,
and it's an honor to be supporting. So, got Crypto Show coming up next.
Do stay tuned.